We're going to spend a couple minutes talking about a new tool that Jon-Don is carrying. It's called a Kett Saw. And the Kett Saw is actually right here in front of us. We'll talk a little bit about everything that it comes with. This is the base tool itself. As you can see, it looks like a big electric drill, but it actually has a bit on it. You may say it looks similar to a circular saw. The Kett Saw is really designed for being able to cut into materials. You're going to see on the head chamber itself is this whole opening right here. What contractors are going to do is they're going to work with existing vacuums, predominantly HEPA vacuum cleaners, since we are releasing dust and particles from the cuts that are being made. So what the contractor is going to do is he's going to take his vacuum and actually stick it inside this hole. As we're cutting into materials, any dust that is released is basically being sucked up through the vacuum hose that is attached within the hole and is funneling back to their vacuum cleaner. Again, that is filtering the air. We do recommend HEPA filtration vacuums, certainly if you're working in a lead environment or in a mold remediation environment. So that is the predominant feature of this tool, is again that the vacuum head and the chamber will actually pull the contaminants, the particles, back to your machine. I'll spend a minute and just kind of spell out what comes standard in your Kett Saw package when you open the box. You're going to get your Kett Saw tool. Comes with about an 8-foot power cord. Certainly if you're needing additional lengths on the power cord, you can work with any 14-gauge 3-wire extension cord for the tool. Additionally, what you're going to receive with your Kett Saw is you're going to get replacement blades. It actually comes with 3 blades that actually fit right into the tool itself. Another thing that you're going to see is this disc. It's almost like a diamond disc. This is really designed more for cutting into metal materials. We'll discuss that a little bit further. Also within the kit, you're going to see this little package. Within the package, you'll have a multitude of different tools. You'll have a little wrench for basically securing the blade to the tool, and you're going to have a series of different Allen wrenches for tightening down the blade itself and for being able to adjust your depth into the material, your cutting depth into the material. So this is the complete package of what you're going to see when your Kett Saw comes in. Again, it will be the tool itself. It'll be product information, instruction guides, all the different Allen wrenches, and again, additional blades for your Kett Saw. So we're going to show you that the Kett Saw has the ability of cutting at different depths into your building material. You'll see that there's this little flange on the back which actually has a set nut. That's where your Allen wrench comes in. I'm actually going to grab my Allen wrench and open the screw up. And when I open it up, this piece is actually retractable. This actually sets my guard depth of how deep the blade will move into the material. With this being pulled all the way back and then just secured down, you'll see on the guard that I have a deeper cut on the blade, more blade is exposed. If I'm doing a shallower cut and I want only maybe a 1/4 inch, what I can do is I can open this Allen screw again, take the guard, move it all the way up, and we'll just tighten it down a little bit. Okay, now that it's tightened, you'll see as I go into the material that I have just a tiny bit of blade exposed. So another thing I'll point out on the Kett Saw is you do have a guide line on it. I'm going to turn the saw just a little bit and kind of retract back. If you see the front of this, you'll see that there's a little V indentation. And if I'm cutting into material, traditionally I would have a chalk line that has been snapped. As I set the tool down, that V would follow my chalk line. And again, as I've set the depth, I would just move forward with that V to make sure that I have nice clean cuts with the Kett Saw. So again, we talked about the importance of having a good vacuum cleaner to capture the particles when we're working with a Kett Saw. Again, we're dealing with environments that may have lead in it, they may have mold remediation. It's imperative that you have a good HEPA vacuum. To my left, we actually have the Minuteman series vacuums. This is our lead vac. To my right, we have the micro vac. Again, because we're dealing with fine particles, you really need a good HEPA vacuum cleaner. Without that HEPA efficiency, fine particles basically will be pulled into the vacuum and then dispense right out the top. So you need that good capture. What I love about this particular series of vacuums in conjunction with the Kett tool is that the hoses are specifically formulated already to fit into the tool. I'll give you an example of that on the microvac, which this vacuum is identical to what's being used on the lead vac. As I unwrap it, you'll see that the diameter or the end of this hose assembly is designed perfectly to fit into the Kett tool. So again, I've got a good secure fit in here. I can turn it, and then again, as I'm doing the cuts, I can basically hold my hand on the vacuum and the trigger and make my appropriate cuts. Certainly if, again, you're not working with this, there are other tools that can be used to basically work in the internal diameter of the Kett tool, or a cuff that would go over the external side. But again, I have found that the Minuteman just saves me a lot of time. I know it's the perfect size diameter to work with the tool. We're going to show you some different cuts with the Kett Saw. Right now we're just going to show you what we call a plunge cut, where we're basically driving into the sheetrock itself. What you're going to see in this shot as well is that there's no vacuum attachment, so pay attention to the amount of dust that is produced. This is traditionally how a lot of contractors are remediating right now and then trying to deal with dust cleanup after the fact. Okay, so we've made our plunge cut. As you can see, drywall dust all around where the cut was made. Again, we made the first cut without the vacuum being attached. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to do that plunge cut again. We're going to do it just on a spot adjacent to the first cut, but we're actually going to attach the vacuum, and then we'll look at how much dust is remaining, if any.